All right, welcome back. It is Lord Kavi Pulaha. We are talking about high Veca codes today, basic units and structures of creation and connection to your higher selves, notably to realms 13 through 15 and above, right? There are dimensions beyond that as well. We're going to talk all about that. Let's get rolling. So, what are the high Veca codes? So, the high Veca codes are these mathematical symbols shown on the previous slide and behind me as well. These come from Ashayana Deane. Um, she was Guardian Speaker number one for the years before 2012. So if you go online and look at some of the workshops, as long as it's before 2012, it's going to be a direct Guardians transmission. Um, and this stuff was these Hyveka codes, as well as the Maharic Seal and the Magic Words of Co-Creation, are all going to be from some of her workshops. That's what I'm going to be covering today. Notably, Dance for Life, Dance for Love, which is one workshop, and then also Science and Spirituality of Creation, and then also Kathara, I think 1 through 4. There are a couple different Kathara videos online as well. Let's get rolling. So, what are the high Vecca codes? Um, I'm just gonna show you my process, and we can go from there. So, um, first of all, when you are going to engage with the high Vecca codes, you want to first start off by clearing your space. I have a clearing mantra on my channel, and basically, um, it's not just clearing, but first of all, it aligns you with the infinite flow of natural organic source, right? So it has a number of different terms for that, and you want to say all those in your meditation. And then also, you're going to call all your altars, all pieces of yourself from all time and space back to yourself. And then you're going to basically say, if any of those pieces that I call back to myself are misaligned with the infinite flow of natural organic source, I release them back to natural source. So all the pieces of you across all space and time are aligned with the infinite flow of natural organic source. That is a cleansing to your field because then you are law of one, you are fully source aligned in that instance. So um, you want to have a actual safe space to operate in. That's the first thing. Secondarily, you want to bring in your Maharic seal. So the Maharic seal is going to bring in 11D and 12D light from the natural flow of. So basically, source flows through the Templar grid. So there's a 12 node Stargate grid that everything is built upon, right? And that's how our 15D time matrix is built up on. And essentially, we are pulling from dimensions 11 and 12 and balancing those energies and bathing your system in 11 and 12D light. So that those would be the two highest polarized light fields from um, our 15D time matrix, right? Because dimensions 13 through 15 are non-polarized, dimensions 1 through 12 are polarized. So by pulling in 11 and 12, you're pulling in the highest dimensional frequency energy you can in a polarized sense and then bathing your field with it. Um, what's really great about the Hyveka codes is you get to be able to pull in frequency from beyond the polarized region, so dimensions 13 plus. And then also the polaric, triadic, and acatic layers, which are the three pre-sound, pre-light, and pre vibration layers that exist beyond dimensions 15. So this is a really exciting broadcast to be dropping today. So anyway, we're starting off with our clearing mantra, and you have your Maharic seal, so you're bathing yourself in the highest dimensional. It says non-polarized here. Technically, 12 is polarized and 11 is polarized, but they are right on the edge of the non-polarized frequency. 12D light compared to, um, uh, 6D light is basically non-polarized. But yeah, 12D is like the realm between 13 through 15, which is strictly non-polarized, and then everything below 12 is much more polarized than 12. So 12 is almost non-polarized. Let's just say that. The Maharic seal kicks off the upgrading to your systems to higher dimensional frequency reception and serves as an energetic seal to keep out polarized energies for typically about a day. Maybe it can last for a few hours if you do it poorly. Maybe it can last for a few days if you do it really well. I do this every day, and it's a great one-stop shop to clearing your field. Um, we also are going to cover the magic words of co-creation. So we're going to cover the basic units of creation, the basic kind of structure of what we have here in our 15D time matrix in terms of like units of creation. And these magic words of creation, it's like four mantras, and each mantra basically covers The Akasha, pronounced Akasha, which is like the whole source complex. It's actually that. We have the Man-Au, which is the void. It's spelled M-A-N-U, pronounced Man-Au, like ow, I hurt myself. And then we have Man-A, M-A-N capital A, pronounced Man-A, not Man-Ah. All right. And then we have the Erie-A, pronounced Erie-A, not Erie-Ah. Right. So those are the four kind of we'll get into this more in the video, but these are um, four very very important components to our 15 time matrix and how it's built up from the smallest level to the highest level. These are the four forces you're dealing with, and so your magic words of co-creation are actually this is right out of Dance for Life from Ashayana Deane, and essentially these four mantras essentially are going to allow you to co-create using those four energy flows throughout our system based on the natural organic flow of source through our system. So this is a law of one practice. This is not some, oh, I'm lighting my manifestation candle. I hope it works. This is, I am calling on the primordial forces that make up our realm using a law of one, a guardians based method. And then I'm using my co creative capacities as a free will co creator under source avatar, an avatar here in the 4D to kind of see that through. So the magic words co creation are really cool. And then the high Veca codes as well, we're going to cover here. So these symbols are the mathematical design of the flows of natural source through our systems. These are not just pretty pictures. They're behind me. They're on the slide before. We're going to cover them a bunch. These are not just pretty pictures. These are essentially the bridges between realms. All right. So we have different dimensional universes. DU1, DU2, DU3, DU4, DU5. And like, for example, DU5 is dimensions 13 through 15. There is a bridge to get from dimension 12 to dimension 13, and that bridge is the Tribeca code, right? And the bridge to get from the lower dimensions to dimensions 10 through 12 is the Bibeca code. And then, so essentially, we are essentially taking the bridge, the mathematical coding of that bridge, and in a meditative sense, bringing that into our field so we can bridge in higher non-polarized energy fields into our field locally here on Earth 606. So we're basically talking about bridging in higher dimensional energy, especially non-polarized energy, into our field using the high Vecca code. So this is not meditating with a picture. This is not, oh, this I like this symbol. It resonates with me. That's great. I don't give a fuck. These are the mathematical representations for the structure of the 15 time matrix that we live in. This is not debatable. This is not, oh, this is a fun rune I saw on the internet in a Twitter post or something. Great. No one cares. These are the mathematical symbols that you can pull in 13th dimensional energy and above from, which is non-polarized. If you're getting attacked by beings, these are polarized beings. So if you can pull in 13D non-polarized light, you will cease to be getting attacked by these beings full on. If you're getting abducted, the quotes abducted by aliens, all this shit, you bring 13 dimensional light into your field, no abduction. And that works as well with your Maharic seal with 11 and 12. But once you're pulling in that dimensional 13 frequency and dimensions higher than that, you're just bringing in less polarization into your field the higher you up in dimensions, right? So these high bucket codes allow you to sovereignly pull energy and frequency from higher dimensions in a source aligned manner. There is no risk with these codes. This is not something that can backfire, right? We are looking at the bridge. This is a mathematical representation, a 2D representation of the bridge itself. So if you want to pull energy in the astral from 13D, how would you do that? You would learn what the bridge, what the it's like a power outlet essentially. You're learning the shape of the power outlet to be able to plug in your field to 13D. That's what these high bucket codes are. It's extremely powerful stuff. It's extremely simple. And it's also highly, highly, highly beneficial to your soul development in the sense that you're pulling in non-polarized light. Non-polarized means you don't get a choice. There's no turn left at the stop sign or right at the stop sign. It is we are and we proceed forward. There's no stop sign at that point, right? Because then if you have a stop sign, then you have a choice to turn left or right, right? So it's very, very, very powerful in quotes magic, all right? Or better yet, pulling in higher dimensional frequency into your lower dimensional field, which in quotes feels like magic because things are so dense down here on Earth 606. All right. So each code aligns with a bridge between realms. So we have, I'm just going to go through these. This is our Veca code. That bridges, this stands for dimensions 10 through 12. The one behind my head here is a Tribeca code, dimensions 13 through 15. Um, this one here, or I'm sorry, this is for the Akasha is for the entire time matrix, like the entirety of it. And then we have the Kushar, um, which is going to be for the triadic ascended master layer. And then we have the polaric ascended master layer with our Druja. And then the one behind me, I'm not going to move fully, is for the polaric layer. So these are the three layers that sit outside of the 15th dimension: pre-sound, pre-light, pre-vibration. And we'll touch more on those later in this video. But understand that with these Hyveka codes, and also with the magic words co-creation, we are pulling in energy from higher dimensions. And specifically with the Hyveka codes, we are pulling in these codes are just these are just a picture, a mathematical representation of the bridge that bridges these dimensional realities together. So if you want to pull energy in from 13D, just pull up the 13D bridge in your meditation. Connect yourself to the 13D bridge and receive the energy. It's as simple as that. All right. And that's why I like to have people lead in with a clearing mantra. So they align themselves with the infinite flow source. And then they take all the pieces of their soul throughout all space and time, call them all back to you, and say that if you're not aligned with the infinite flow of natural organic source, I release you back to natural organic source because I'm about to pull in 13-dimensional non-polarized light into my field. And I can't have one piece of my soul fucking about with some weird polarized timeline. I can't have that. That's why you have to do the clearing first. And that's why the clearing is absolutely fundamental. And the Maharic seal helps with that clearing as well. You can use the Maharic seal to use that Merkaba to clean out your dimensional one chakras. So between the clearing, between the Maharic seal, and then to the Hyveka codes, and then to the magic words of co-creation, you have a full stack of manifestation capabilities, right? You've aligned, you've cleared your field, you've called back your altars, you've bathed yourself in 11D and 12D light, and then you do the Hyveka codes where you're pulling in dimensions 13 through 15, and then dimensions beyond that in the triadic, polaric, and acadic ascended master layers, which sit outside the dimensions 15. And then furthermore, once you've done all those and you have a clean field and your law of one aligned fully, you can use the magic words of co-creation to do whatever you want to do, to co-create whichever reality you would like to live in here on Earth 606. Let's continue on. So, the order of creation, this here. So I'm going to be reading off this chart here to the right, but I've written it to the left here. We can refer to both. So, in quotes, in the beginning there was the void, right? So the void is known as the still point or the man-au, M-A-N capital U. And we have our Akasha symbol here. So each one of these, we have the void, we have pre-vibration sound, and then we have pre-light oscillation. So the void, divine mother, divine feminine, and then we have the divine masculine, which is like oscillation. So each one of these are going to align with this with this Akasha symbol to our right here, which is the teardrop symbol. And so the void represents the Ek from Akasha, right? So when we're speaking about the Akasha, this is actually an Anuhazi word, right? Anuhazi is the first language spoken within this time matrix period. And so the words in it actually just align with things in the astral. It's not like you don't have words in Anuhazi for like I don't know, Twitter account. There's no translation for the word Twitter account in Anuhazi, right? Or TikTok doesn't have a translation to Anuhazi, right? Anuhazi is just primordial sounds that make up the fundamental building blocks of our 15D time matrix. So that's why it's a very fundamental language when it comes to meditating in a law of one manner, because you're literally just pulling the mathematical codes using spoken voice. So anyway, let's start off here with the void. The void or the still point or the man-au is called the Ek from the Akasha in the Anuhazi language. And this is known as like divine source. We describe these with partici particles. All right, ending with an I, partici. And we'll get more into that in a couple more slides here, but we have partici, particum, and partica, all related to the void, the divine mother, and the divine father. So this system is like I don't know, in religious circles, you have the Trinity. This is actually very, very similar to that, except this is actually using the law of one teachings from the Guardians, not some nonsense from the Anunnaki who want to keep you giving it all away to their mothership or to their deity or whatever the hell the Anunnaki are doing with your energy when you give it away to them is their business. But we're actually looking at the physics here today. So we have the void, which is the ek, the divine source, the partichi particles, and it's the man ow. So in the beginning, there was the void. All right. And then within the void, God spoke the word. And I don't mean God like Jesus, I mean like source. So in the beginning, there was a void. And then within the void, God/source spoke the word. Right. And this is right off that Akasha. You can read it on the Akasha diagram here to the right. This is the right of the teardrop. So the next category here is pre-sound vibration or the eerie A. All right, it's spelled EIR capital A, and it's pre-sound vibration. So we had the ek, and then we have the Sha. The Sha is the pre-sound vibration. It's known as the Divine Mother, and I'm putting them in this order because that's the order of creation. Technically, the word Ikasha is anyway. In terms of order of creation, we went void, and now we have pre-sound vibration. So it's the Shah from Eka Shah. It's the Divine Mother or the Divine Feminine, however you want to think about this. And these are represented by particum particles. So the void had partichi particles. The pre-sound vibration area Divine Mother has particum particles, right? And we'll speak to that more in the next slide. And it's pronounced Erie A, right? The capital A in Anuhazi is like an A sound, not an ah sound. All right. And then let's move on to the third unit of creation here. So in the beginning, there was the void, the man owl, and then within the void, God/source spoke the word, creating the Irie, which is a divine mother, right? And then after that, and from the word came the light. And the light is going to be the pre-light oscillation field is known as the man A, MAN capital A at the bottom of the screen here. And that's the Ka from E Ka Sha. So it's known as a divine father or the divine masculine. And these are notated by partica particles. So we have partichi particles with the void ending in an I. We have particum particles ending with an from the divine feminine, and then we have prelight. The prelight oscillation layer is the man A, and light comes from that. So when we talk about it being a pre-light layer, there's the pre-light layer surrounds it, and then the light comes from that layer. So essentially, we have the void, which is no thing, which is where everything comes from. There's no particular thing in the void; it's everything. And then from that void, we have the pre-sound vibration layer, the area, which creates vibration, and then we have downstream of that, we have the pre-light layer, which is the man A, which creates oscillation, and that creates light. Okay. And so let me read this from the top. In the beginning, there was the void, and then within the void, God/source spoke the word. And from the word came light, and from the light came all creation in the higher and lower heavens. All right. And technically, Earth 606 is, you know, we're all in heavenly realms. They're just more dense or less dense, and we're in one of the more dense ones, right? So maybe it doesn't feel like heaven to you, but either way, that term is correct. Okay. So, um, on the left here, we have the exact same wording from the last slide, and I want you to just kind of view that and think about that in your mind while I'm going to read. Um, this is right out of Dance for Life. It's an Ashayana Deane workshop from 2002. It might be 2003. So essentially, I'm just going to read here off the slide. Partichi, partica, and particum. These are the smallest units of energy substance, electrotonal units of consciousness that are the building blocks of morphogenetic fields. Matter, an individuated consciousness identity, operates as minute, perpetual motion, fission/fusion generators. That's a big mouthful. Okay. But let's just take a look at this picture. It's really straightforward when you look at the picture. We have particum, right? And if we look at our chart here to the left, particum is the divine mother. So we have particum on the, I don't know if you can see me pointing, but we have particum on the left, and we have partica on the right. Partica is going to be the masculine. So the divine feminine and the divine masculine are these two smaller circles in this diagram. And then those both feed from the partichi antimatter field, which is the void. So we have the void feeding in these two smaller circles, right? And so we have these three just different types of basic fundamental creation units, and they basically swap and feed off each other. And they're in constant communication. And so when we talk about a 15 time matrix and we're all just source, it's just partici, particum, and partici, particae, and particum particles. That's all it is. Divine feminine, divine masculine, and the void itself. The void itself is the no thing. It's everything put in together. Everything put together is the void. So, um, let's continue on here. Number two, partici grids, the fabric of the morphogenetic field structure. Partici units group to form interwoven strands, then grids of electrotonal substance out of which morphogenetic fields are fashioned, out of a unified field of partici units. Particle grids form to create the frequency bands that make up dimensional fields and then to form individuated morphogenetic fields. So basically, in short, what they're saying in a lot of words is we have this particum, which is divine feminine, we have the partica, which is divine masculine, and then we have the partici. These units all interact with each other to make these partici grids, right? And these grids are what all of creation comes from. Simple as that. They use the word morphogenetic quite a few times here, right? You might need to pause, might need to zoom in on this, might need to reread this, rewatch this. I highly recommend looking at Dance for Life. Dance for Life, Love is a Ashayana Deane workshop. I got the PDF for free online. There's Ashayana has multiple lectures on it from 2002. I believe it was in Seattle, or maybe it was in the UK. Either way, um, great lectures. This is where all that comes from. I'm not pulling this out of my ass. This is from the Guardians, from Ashayana Deane, and I'm being a Guardian's mouthpiece by speaking about it today. Let's move on to number three on this chart here. Partici units continue to group or accrete upon partici grids, forming letter A is known as keylons. And if you look at the chart here, we have those cool little gem looking things over there. Those are called keylons. Keylons are known as crystallizations of frozen light, so standing scalar wave patterns and fixed points of tonal frequency. All right, and then B, they also form keylon codes, which are complex groupings of these keylons, which together form a crystalline template of light spectra, sound frequency, and electromagnetism that is the morphogenetic field crystal body, aka the blueprint upon which matter and identity will manifest. So in review, we have particum, divine feminine, right? So vibration. And then we have partica, which is oscillation, which is light. And then we have the void, which contains everything. The partici, particum, and partica particles all interact with each other to create these partici grids. These partici grids form together to make keylons. Those keylons assemble themselves in an order, in an alignment to make a keylon code. All right. And these keylon codes build up your morphogenetic field, which is how you manifest the reality around you with. Because things really here aren't physical. You are manifesting them based on the partici, partica, and particum coming together in partici grids, coming together in keylons and keylon codes to build your morphogenetic field. And then your chakras are involved in this. We have hova bodies that are involved in this. We have dimensional shields, and then we also have an auric layer, which sit on top of that. And we're going to go through all of that today. So anyway, this they didn't teach you this shit in science class for a reason, right? It's way, yeah. Anyway, let's continue on here. The morphogenetic field is made of interwoven partici grids, the electrotonal units of consciousness out of which the partici grids form create standing wave patterns, scalar wave grids, which hold the form of consciousness within the dimensionalized manifestation. The morphogenetic fields are thus scalar grids that form in a specific ordered interrelationship. Partici grids form upon the core geometrical mathematical structure of the kathara grid. And so the kathara grid represents the core scalar field upon which form manifests. So morphogenetic fields govern the form of matter manifestation and evolution of biology and consciousness. Morphogenetic field mechanics thus hold the key to mastery of physical reality and biospiritual evolution. All right, there's a huge mouthful there, but essentially, we got particum, divine feminine. We got partica, divine masculine, and we got partici. These are the smallest units of creation. They interact with each other to make partici grids. The partici grids form keylons, which are collections of these partici grids. The keylons align themselves to make keylon codes. Those keylon codes align themselves to make a morphogenetic field. All right. And in quotes, the morphogenetic field governs the form of matter manifestation and evolution of biology and consciousness. The morphogenetic field mechanics thus hold the key to mastery of physical reality and biospiritual evolution. I'm reading this off the chart here. But basically, if you have a clean morphogenetic field, right? I talk about keeping your field clean. I'm talking about your morphogenetic field based on your partici, partica, and particum particles, which organize into keylons, keylon codes, and then your morphogenetic field. And that is how you manifest your reality. All right, this is beautiful. Let's move on. Um, Signals from higher selves. So signals from higher selves are based on your kathara centers, not chakras. So everyone kind of gets this wrong, but the kathara center is actually where you actually manifest. I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but your chakras are more like power cords, and your kathara centers are more like the processing chips. Um, Let me move ahead in my notes here. Um, we're looking at this one. Yeah, so essentially Kathara the Kathara centers are where your reality actually manifests. So if you are receiving a signal from your higher self, like let's say you go into a meditation and then maybe you feel a twitch on your left shoulder, right? If you look at the chart here, that correlates to your seventh dimensional Kathara center. So that means if your seventh higher self wants to talk to you, they're going to give you a Zoom call. They're going to call your cell phone, and what is that going to look like in your morphogenetic field? That is going to look like, oh, I got a twitch in my left shoulder. If it's your right shoulder, that's going to be your sixth center per this chart here. And these are the Kathara centers. This is where the energy is manifested in your body, right? This is not for debate. This is law of one. Um, so during a meditation, if you get a ringing in your left ear, that is your D10 higher self reaching out to you. If you have, a left shoulder spasm, that's your D6 higher self reaching out, right? So we talk about higher selves and how this actually relates to you in the here and now. I'm not just yelling physics at you for no reason. These physics line up with the signals you get from your higher selves. So if you want to communicate with your higher selves, it's important to understand the partici, particae, and the particum fields, how those all fit together and how those line up with your body to manifest your reality. So when you get a signal from a higher dimension, you actually know how to interpret it. All right. People get ringing in their ears all the time, but most people don't understand that that's your higher self communicating with you. Very important. So dig into this chart. This is really cool. This is from Dance for Life. Okay. So let's move on. So we have Kathara centers are the fixed core structural blueprints of manifestation. We just covered those, right? Chakras are the fluid secondary energy vortexes that filter and distribute light throughout the body. So maybe the Kathara center, let me move ahead one slide here. If Kathara centers are the internal circuit board, then chakras are the power cords, and hova bodies are the massive distinct energy vehicles or shells that house your consciousness across different realities and dimensions. So that's kind of the outline we're dealing with here, right? So we had partici, particae, and particum. They form uh, um, these partici grids, which form keylons, which align into the keylon codes, which builds your morphogenetic field. Your morphogenetic field then feeds into your Kathara centers, which is your internal circuit board. And then your internal circuit board feeds into your chakras, which are like your power cables. And then those chakras manifest your hova bodies. And then from your hova body comes your auric field, which is what you're seeing with your two eyes. Okay, I'm going to go back and we'll talk about catharic centers. But I wanted you to understand that is the stack. That is the energetic stack. That is what your body is made of. Right? I'm not interested in talking about digestive system and your esophagus and your organs and your stomach. That's all bullshit Rockefeller nonsense. Does that exist? Yes, it does. All right. But from a higher dimensional point of view, it's much more about the Cathara centers and the chakras and the hova bodies and the auric field and the partici, particae, and particum making the keylon codes in your morphogenetic field. These are the structures that build up your energetic body, and that's what we're talking about here. So yeah. I think I've already read this here. Your chakras are fluid secondary energy vortices that filter and distribute light throughout the body. Think of them as power cords. Um, if you are doing your Mahara seal, I recommend cleaning your chakras. So your chakras are the power cord. So if you pump non-polarized light from your high Veca codes or 11D and 12D light, which is balanced polarized light, from from guardian realms essentially. The D12 is a guardian realm, into your field, you can clean your chakras. And basically, these are the power cords that circulate through your system. So I highly recommend cleaning your chakras out with your large Merkaba when you're doing your Maharic seal. This is a great way to clean your entire systems because those cords, your chakras, circulate the energy throughout your entire system. The Kathara centers are like a fixed core structural blueprint. The chakras are how the energy flows through, and then the hova body is the manifestation of that. So that's why when we do the Maharic seal, we clean the chakras, not the Kathara centers. I mean, you can align your Kathara centers, your blueprint with the law of one, but really in terms of cleaning, you know, cleaning the energetic systems in your body, you would want to clean the chakras, not the Kathara centers. So to the right here, we have our chakra chart. Pretty much every single one of the Ashayana Deane workshops has this chart, but um, I'm just going to run through this real fast. You should really pause and zoom in on this. But essentially, so we have chakra one, which is one cone that starts at your at your butt, basically, at your hip bone. And then basically we have chakra two, chakra three, chakra four is in your heart space, and two, chakra two, three, and four, and five and six are all going to be two cones, one going in, one going out. And so these cones spin both directions. One direction is taking energy in, one direction is pulling energy out. So right now, when I'm communicating to you, my fifth chakra is spinning a certain direction, which is pushing the energy out because your fifth chakra is communication, right? It's your throat chakra. So I am pushing energy out through my throat chakra to communicate to you through my mouth. If I was listening to someone speak to me, the chakra would be spinning the other way. So these are chakras are really important to energy flow through your systems. They're like power cords on a you know uh, audio video setup or your TV. It's like the power cords to hook up your Xbox to your TV. They're very important. Um, so we have chakra four, we have chakra five, and then chakra six. So chakra six starts in the middle of your head and goes out the front and back of your head. Now then we have chakra seven, which is going to be one cone that starts in the middle of your head and goes straight up, and it's purple. We are going to have chakra eight. So if we're looking at the side of my head, chakra eight starts in the middle and goes here and goes here. Boom and boom. Chakra nine is the same thing, but it goes chakra eight and nine make an X across the middle of your head. So again, chakra six is going out straight across, like eye length. Chakra seven is going straight up from the middle of your head. And then chakra eight is out the back of your head and out of your mouth. Chakra nine makes an X with chakra eight. And then we also have, there are organs associated with each one of the chakras. So chakra one is like your base, it's like your root. So it's like your hip bone, your butt bone. Two is your sacral. Three is your solar plexus. Four is your heart. Five is your throat. Chakra six is your third eye. But notably, it is your pituitary gland. So this is a gland that secretes hormones in your head. We have chakra seven, which is your crown, which is your pineal. So everyone is like, oh, your third eye is your pineal gland. Technically, really, it's not. Your third eye is your pituitary gland, which is a hormone secretion gland within your head. It's not technically your pineal. Chakra seven is your pineal. So when I talked to my last video about doing pineal gland push-ups, you're flexing chakra seven, if you want to think of it that way, right? You're pushing energy through that power cord that is your seventh chakra. Um, and then we have morphogenetic chakras. These morphogenetic chakras, so the primary chakras are in your physical body, and then we have the morphogenetic chakras which sit outside of your body, in a certain sense. I mean, really, eight and nine are kind of in your head, but it's labeled here this way, and we're going to go on the law of one material today. So chakra eight is your thymus. Chakra nine is your thalamus. All right. And you can Google all about the Rockefeller medicine. People tell you what your thymus and thalamus does. That's great. We're not going to cover that here. But understand if you need work on your eighth and ninth chakra, you can actually just go in the astral and apply your Merkaba during your Maharic seal on your thymus and your thalamus as well as your chakras, right? So they're the same thing. Very interesting. Um, and then so we have above your head, we have what? So it says 6 inches above your head is your chakra 10. That's going to be blue and black. And then we have what is it? 18 inches above your head is going to be chakra 11. Look, I typically think of it as like 1 or 2 feet above your head for both of them, right? But either way, this chart here is quite exact. So 6 inches above your head is chakra 10, and then 18 inches above your head is chakra 11. Chakra 11 is going to be a pale silver. And then we have chakra 12, which is going to be underneath your feet. So chakra 12 is like your light body pad. Um, so if you're gonna like fly around in the astral, you're going to have your 12th dimensional. Um, you're basically gonna have your light body activated, and that's gonna be visualized view like via like a pad standing underneath you, and that's gonna be 6 inches underneath your feet. And then chakra 13 is actually going to be you share chakra 13 with the earth. So everyone's like, oh, you and the earth are connected. We're all source. That's great. Chakra 13 is that connection. So you have chakra 12, which is underneath your feet, and then you have chakra 13, which actually aligns you with the core of the earth. Okay. Chakra 14 is going to be all the way above your head in deep space. So this aligns you with and it's technically 36 inches above your head, and it aligns you with deep space. And so this is your connection to the greater galactic realm. So these chakras are energy cores essentially that connect you from your physical, manifestation body, your D1 body, all around the galaxy. So you have the chakras in your body, yes, but then you also have chakra 13, which connects you to the earth. You have chakra 14, which connects you to the galaxy, right? It's in deep space. MC14 is above your head, 36 inches above your head. And then we have chakra 15, which is underneath your feet, which is deep space in the full other direction. So basically, if you want to think of these chakras, they're essentially these energy cords that connect you both internally and externally to the entire fucking galaxy, including the center of the earth. So anyway, that's why we highly recommend to clean out these chakras during your Maharic seal. Let's move on. So I read this once. I'm going to read it again. It's really fundamental. I'm going to just go through the whole energetic stack of who you are. We have partica units, which are divine masculine. We have partica units, which is divine masculine. We have particum units, which is divine feminine. And then we have partici, which is the void. Those form together to make partici grids. Those partici grids come together to make keylons. Those keylons align to make keylon codes. Those keylon codes form your morphogenetic field. All right. The morphogenetic field feeds into your kathara centers, which is your internal circuit board, just like a computer. And then those kathara centers are the internal circuit board that feeds into your chakras, which are your power cords connecting everything, including what? We just covered this in the last slide. You have the core of the earth, you have the galaxy up there, and you have the galaxy down there. These are the entire galaxy you're connected to. All right. And then that feeds into your hova bodies, which are massive, distinct energy vehicles or shells that house your consciousness across different realities and dimensions. So pictured to your right here are your hova bodies. So on the chart, it's A, which is around your hips area, B, which is near chakra 4, C, which is above your head and is near your 10th chakra, and then we have um, labeled D on this chart, your other hova body, which is going to be near chakra 12. And the names of these, I called them A, B, C, D just now, but it's technically your telluric shield and your nada hova body, and then B is your Doratic shield, which is your Alphi hova body, and then C is your Telluric shield, which is your Becha hova body. Yeah, Becha, man. And then we got D is your Maharic shield, right? So when we talk about making your Maharic shield, all right, or we're doing the Maharic seal, it's the exact same concept. You're pulling in 12D light into your field and strengthening ultimately what becomes your Maharic shield. Technically, the Maharic seal and shield are different, but it's the same concept. One of them, you're just pulling that energy in to cleanse your field, and then your Maharic shield here is actually how you manifest your reality. Okay, and then E, it's not pictured on this diagram. It's your Rishik shield. Your Rishik shield lines up with your Rishi identity, which is beyond dimension 12 typically. So, and your Rishik shield or your Raja Hova body is vertical. So it's the vertical column that goes through you. So it's not pictured here because it would mess up the picture. But those are your shields, your Hova body shields. And again, they're massive, distinct energy vehicles or shells that house your consciousness across different realities and dimensions. And essentially, you got that energy from your internal circuit board, your kathara center. The power cords, your chakras, transmitted that energy to your Hova body. And your Hova body are the energy vehicles or shells to where your consciousness can manifest. Really cool. I'm going to read this chart. Hova bodies are spherical scalar wave grids that form tissue capsules between each third dimensional harmonic of manifestation. Signets are the core points of consolidated frequency that hold the programs for the scalar grid shields upon which the Hova bodies manifest. As universal life force currents activate in the Cathar grid, DNA, chakras, auric levels, and the body, natural awakening of dormant scalar shields occur. All right. So these shields drawn on the chart here come to form, or technically the Hova bodies come from the shields, and the Hova body materializes from the shield. All right, the first four shields, each with three signets corresponding to the Kathara centers of the levels 1 through 12 Kathara grid. So essentially, dimensions 1 through 3 from our 12D Templar grid, which is the top right of this picture, each three of those align to a different shield. And if you actually want to think about this, when we have our dimensional universes, DU1 is actually dimensions 1 through 3. DU2 is dimensions 4, 5, and 6. So each one of the each one of the dimensional universes that you can come from, we're in dimensions 1 through 3 right now. We're moving on to 4, 5, and 6. Technically, we're in 4 right now, as of last week. But essentially each one of these, like what I'm trying to, each one of these aligns to one of the dimensional universes. What becomes really clear is when you're looking at this material from the Guardians and from Ashayana Deane, this law of one material based on how to ascend, um, everything lines up top to bottom. So the micro lines up to the macro lines up to the micro, and every single component hooks up into each other because this is quite simply the physics of our realm. Okay, and so all of these systems connect to the aura fields. So we have the catharic centers. Let me go back one. If the catharic centers are the internal circuit board, the chakras are the power cords, and the hova bodies are the energy vehicles or shells that house your consciousness across different realities and dimensions. Your auric field comes out of your hova bodies and technically projects the consciousness. Right? So I'm going to read here from the chart. Um, Chakras draw energy in from and transmit energy into the unified fields of each dimension. Each chakra carries as its primary color and hue associated with the wavelength of the dimensional frequency band to which the chakra corresponds. Each chakra corresponds to a level of the auric field and one Axi-A tonal line. We'll speak about these in a second. Each hova body corresponds to a set of three chakras and contains three dimensionalized frequency bands that form the dimensional levels of the auric field. So what this is basically saying is each chakra is a different color because it's a different part of the light spectrum. All right. And each one of those chakras, if you can see on the chart, we have these crossing lines here. That's how you project your consciousness from your chakras to your auric field. It all lines up. Okay. So I'm not just giving you tons of physics details for no big deal. I'm giving you the details of the physics because this is how you are built energetically. Okay, yeah. So much for medical school. This is much better than what they learn in medical school, isn't it? Um, you can read the colors here. You can read the primary chakras. We kind of already covered those. Let's move on. So these are Axi-A tonal lines. Axi-A tonal lines. So basically, I've just gone through the whole stack. Um, your chakras and your auric field line up to these Axi-A tonal lines within your body. So these are the energy flows within your body. So each finger or toe corresponds to an Axi-A tonal line, which corresponds to your chakras. And excuse me. Take note that at every joint. So if you look at the chart here, every single joint in your body is where is a situation where the Axi-A tonal lines basically come together and then they flip. So it's hard to see in this picture. You can zoom in, but basically, if you look, we have 5, 1, 10, 7, and 4 on that left hand based on the chart. So your feet are sticking outward. So the right hand on the chart is actually your left hand in real life. And so your left thumb correlates to chakra 5. But once it passes through here, right? This, the Axi-A tonal line, so it goes from your thumb, and because a joint occurs here, it actually flips. It, it takes all those lines and flips them. And then when we get to your elbow, it flips them again. And then we get to your shoulder, it flips them again. So just what I'm trying to point out is that every single joint, it flips the Axi-A tonal lines. So if you're getting a signal from your higher self, you can also refer to your Axi-A tonal lines and see, oh, which dimension is contacting me. So I have a ring on my left pointer finger. So if we take a look at the chart, your left pointer finger corresponds to chakra 1, right? It corresponds to Axi-A tonal line 1, which correlates to chakra 1. So basically, by having this obsidian ring, obsidian is like a power stone. It increases your power. It pulls more frequency in, or pushes it out. It can do both. It's a mirror stone, if you want to call it that. But I put it on my second finger because my second finger is linked to my Axi-A tonal line 1, Axi-A tonal line 1, aka chakra 1. So I am boosting my core power by putting it on here. If I were to put it on um, my fourth finger on my left hand, I think this is your wedding ring hand, right? That aligns to your seventh Axi-A tonal line, right? And seventh dimension is where a lot of basically dimensions 1 through 7 are there's some Time Lord aspects to dimension 7. So when you're married, you basically I want to be with you forever. So that's why you put it on Axi-A tonal line 7 because 7 all the Time Lords are from dimension 7 and the control of like time happens in 7 and then solidifies in 8. So anyway, this is a really good chart. If you're getting a signal during a meditation, maybe one of your fingers twitches. This is a message from your higher self coming into your body. You're feeling it come into your body based on the law of one physics presented by the Guardians, and you can map that on your body using the Axi-A tonal lines. And to be clear, it's the same for your feet, it's the same for your hands, it's the same all throughout your body, and every joint just flips. It's not that complex. So I know the chart looks really complex. It's really not that complex. Um, and I would go through and memorize 5, 1, 10, 7, 4, which is your left hand, and then 8, 2, 9, 6, 3 on your right hand. And it's the same for your toes. And every joint it flips and it gets up to the top of your head. Notably, the top of your head, you also do have it's chakra is above 10, 11, and 12 are actually above your head. Okay. And that's so if you feel like something happening above your head in a meditation, that would be your Axi-A tonal lines 10, 11, and 12 triggering. Okay, so we've covered a lot here. Let me cover the high Veca codes first, and then we'll come back to the words of co-creation. So these are your high Veca codes. So we just talked about how you can use your Maharic seal and how you can understand all the systems, energetic systems in your body and how they all work together for healing. The next step from the Maharic seal are the high Veca codes, right? So the Maharic seal is pulling in 11D and 12D light from your 12D Templar grid, right? So this is the infinite flow of natural organic source. You're not pulling in it from some artificial timeline or whatever. It's from natural organic source. Um, if you want to pull in energy from higher realms, you can using the high Veca codes. So I'm going to just read the chart here to the right, and it's in color on your left. Um, so the bi-Veca code is for density 4, so dimensions, so DU4. So that would be dimensions 10 through 12. And it's called the Mu A Va. All right. And it's pronounced the mantra for or the toning for it is Maharata Muava, right? And basically goes on the bottom of your right foot. Next, we have the Tribeca code, which is from DU5, so density 5 dimensions So it's dimensions 13, 14, and 15. So what's important about dimensions 13, 14, and 15 is they're non-polarized. So if you actually truly want to clean your field with literally non-polarized light, you're going to be using that Tribeca code. All right. And it's called the Ha Sha. So if the mantra for it or the toning for it is Ki Ra Sha Ha Sha or Ki Ra She Ha Sha, because the capital A is an A sound. So Ki Ra She Ha Sha. And the symbol placement for that is the bottom of your left foot. All right. We also have the Veca code, which is from the triadic layer. So outside of dimensions 15, there are three layers, the triadic, polaric, and acadic layers. So, we talked about the man ow, the man a, and the area. These are these three layers, the pre oscillation, the pre vibration, and then the void. Those are those three layers. So anyway, we're going to be pulling from I have a chart on it in the next slide here. We'll go to that in a second. But this is called the Veca code. We're pulling from primal sound, sound layer one called the triadic layer. And this code is called the Shar De Za layer. And basically, um, the mantra for it is Ku Shar Da Za. Ku Shar Da Za. Or yeah. And then the symbol placement for that is going to be on your neck, so on your clavicle. So it's going to be right here. Next, we have the Da Becca code, and it's from Primal Sound Field 2, which is the polaric layer, and it's called the Drew Aja. Look, the names for these aren't quite as important, but you're going to be saying the mantra a shitload of times when you're calling in these symbols. So you should definitely learn the mantra. The names are a little less important. The way you tone the mantra is Da Drew Aja, Da Drew Aja, Da Drew Aja, and that symbol placement is chakra 2. So just it's on your abs, just below your navel. And then we have the Ra Veka code, right? And this connects you to the primal um, sound layer number 3, which is the acadic layer or acactic layer. You can pronounce it probably either way. And it's called the Eka, right? And the mantra for that is Ra Eka, Ra Eka. And the symbol placement for that is on your back above your tailbone. So if you want to think of it like you're wearing armor, this is it's a pretty in terms of the law of one, this is like your armor that a knight would wear into battle, right? And it's not necessarily like you're not putting up shields, you're putting up each one of these codes is a mathematical symbol code for the bridge to these dimensions. So you're just wearing the logo of the bridge to these dimensions. So you can, as an infinite timeless soul, you can pull in that energy at any time. How would you pull in that energy? Well, you would use the symbol code for the bridge, visualize the bridge, and then pull energy through that. All right, you're an infinite timeless soul. You have the capacity to pull in all these frequencies, right? Whether it's 10, 11, and 12, which is still polarized, 13, 14, and 15, which is non-polarized, or the triadic, polaric, and acadic layers, which are like pre-sound, pre-oscillation. You could pull in all that energy by just using these symbol codes. They're extraordinarily powerful and they're extraordinarily cleansing to your field. All the beings that are going to fuck with you, your negative alien agenda beings are going to be all in the polarized regions of like the fourth dimension, 4.2, 4.3, 4.5D. So if you're pulling in 13th dimensional light, the little gray aliens can't come fuck with you, can they? They just can't. The Dracos can't show up and fuck with you because you have 13th dimensional light in your field that's not polarized. So if you want to be safe, pull in dimensional 13 energy. It's just that simple. And this Tribeca code is how you do that. Um, when I go about doing these, I'm not going to spend too long on this, but essentially I will hop into a meditation, doing my clearing, my Maharic seal, and then I will do these codes. And essentially, um, you can either look at the code physically, and then what you want to do is cross your eyes and see two of the codes and then say the mantra. What you can also do is visualize it in the astral and breathe in through the code and then breathe out through the code as well. Um, and then when you're breathing out, you say the mantra. I also, if you're like going to use a whisper voice, you can breathe in while saying the mantra. So right? I was breathing in when I was saying that. There's if you learn how to scream for like a metal band, there's something called the inhale scream. You can look up that technique if you're trying to learn it. But when I do these Habeck codes, I will inhale toning the mantra, and then I will exhale toning the mantra as well. Now, I will say that the true yogi complete breath always uses a nose inhale and a mouth exhale. So I like to do some nose inhales. I like to do some you know, mantra inhales. And then I like to look at the code on the screen, or on the piece of paper and then cross my eyes. And then I also like to look at it in the astral and cross my eyes and pull energy in that way. These are all really good methods to do this. You can also cut out little cutouts of the mathematical code and put them on your body. You can also draw them in oil on your body. When you're drawing them in oil on your body or putting the cutout of the code on your body, these are mathematical codes and you're putting them on your body. I know it sounds cheesy and cheap that you just I just put a drawing of it on me and that's supposed to be magical. Yeah, it actually is because this diagram is the physics, is the direct mathematical representation of the bridge to where you're pulling that energy from. And you're an infinite timeless soul. You can pull energy from those realms. It's your birthright. It's your capability. You have the capability to do this. So all you need to do is visualize the bridge and pull the energy in. And a way to do that would be to take this symbol code, cut it out in a piece of paper, and put it on your, Kuveka code would go on your clavicle, right? And anyway, it's not very difficult to work with these, but I would explore all the different techniques I just explained on it. I'm being very long-winded here, but there's a lot you can do with these, and I challenge you, and I hopefully am exciting you here to hop into your meditation practice and make these symbols part of your meditation practice. Okay, let's talk about. Oh, this is important. Let's cover this. So this chart is from a YouTube creator called Christos Avatar. His channel is called Christos Avatar TV. He does Law of One content. He covers Ashayana Deane material. I highly recommend his channel. It says here christosavatar.com. That's his website. This is his chart. I'm not going to spend too long on it. You should buy the chart from him. This is the older chart. He has like two or three different newer versions that have more info on it. And I'm not going to show the whole chart. And we're just going to kind of breeze through this because I don't want to anyway, it's his IP, but he made this based on the Ashayana Deane material. Dance for Life, Kathara 1, as well as Science and Spirituality of Creation has a chart that reflects all this information as well. But I like his chart. It's very colorful. It's very easy to understand. Um, so when we are pulling in using our Veca code, if you look at the DU4, it's the hydroplasmic prematter crystal liquid layer, otherwise known as aromatena, right? We're going to be pulling energy from dimensions 10 through 12, right? When we're using our Tribeca code, right, the one behind my head, that pulls in energy from DU5, the thermoplasmic antimatter, ANTE matter, crystal gas layer. All right, dimensions 13 through 15, right? Where we have the Elohai race line, the Seraphai race line, the Braharama race line, which is like your blue flame, your gold flame, and your violet flame or ruby flame. So when you say, "Oh, I'm a golden flame dragon," okay, that means that you're connected with the 14th dimensional Seraphai race line. All right, and to pull energy from that, you would use your Tribeca code, which is the mathematical coding for the bridge to get you to dimensions 13, 14, and 15 from dimensions 12, right? So that's why we talk about these codes being mathematical representations. This is literally the structure. And can you see how the colors line up with the dimensions? It's just literally the mathematical structure for the bridge to get you from dimension 12 to dimension 13. Okay. Um, this is a really cool chart. You can check out his stuff. I mean, look, you can note that as after, dimension 7, gender ends, bodies and individuality ends. So anyway, dig into this chart. I'm not gonna like harp on his IP. But let's also explain that. So we have these other symbols. I'm gonna go back a slide here so you can see the code. So the Kushar, the Da, um, basically symbols number 3, 4, and 5. I'm not gonna stumble over the words right now. Symbols 3, 4, and 5 align to the triadic, polaric, and acatic layers. So if you look at this chart here from Christos Avatar, we have the top three layers, ascended master layers 3, 2, and 1. So these are Let's just go through the chart here. The Veca code aligns you with a triadic level 1, which is ascended master level 3, which is like the ruby ray or the violet ray. The Drew Veca code lines you up with the triadic level 2, right? And then that's the gold ray. And then the raw Veca code aligns you with triadic level 3, which is ascended master level 1, which is the blue ray. So you can see how the acatic level 3, right? So the furthest arc in this chart here is blue ray. That also lines up with dimension 13, right? And then if you actually look down further, we have dimension 10 and dimension 6. So you can see how the blue ray spirals through our 15D time matrix, right? So when people talk about the blue ray, yes, it is dimension 6. Yes, it is dimension 10. Yes, it is dimension 13. And yes, it is the acatic layer, the ascended master level 1 layer, right? Very interesting stuff. So you can see how things spiral. And basically we have the blue ray, the gold ray, and the ruby ray or violet ray, which are the three rays of creation. And they spiral into existence with these partici, particae, and particum units, right? It's these all everything lines up top to bottom when you're dealing with the law of one material. It's absolutely fascinating. When you look at traditional physics, it doesn't do this whatsoever, right? These guys with physics degrees can describe the void really well, but it basically they can describe non-duality really well. There's a famous speaker who's really good at describing non-duality. My friend sent me a link to him. Very fascinating stuff, but he has none of this. Can't describe, doesn't know what the Blu-ray is. Doesn't know how it spirals. He can't describe the dimensions. They can't describe the mathematical codings to pull in energy from those dimensions. No clue. So typical physics falls really, really, really short. All right. If you also, I'm gonna advertise for Christos Avatar. This chart, if you go down further, it has all of the races, all the 12 race lines. There's a lot of good info on that chart. I'd highly recommend checking out Christos Avatar TV on YouTube. He is a cool guy. Um, let's see how I use the Vecca code. So I've said this a few times. I start off with my clearing mantra to align to the infinite flow of natural source. You call any alters to you, and if those alters, any piece of yourself, you call them to you, and if any pieces of those self are not in alignment with the infinite flow of natural organic source, the law of one, you are going to release them back to natural organic source. So now you are fully aligned with the law of one and natural organic source. Then you pull in the Maharic seal. So 11D and 12D light, you clean your chakra systems. Your chakras are your power cords. If you're flushing energy through your power cords, you're cleaning out your entire system front to back, right? And your power cords are kind of in the middle of those systems. So if you just plug it into those power cords, you're flushing your entire system, the top, the upstream, and the downstream of your manifestation abilities in your systems. All right. And then I pull in the Vecca codes. So I talked a little bit about this already, but you can do a nose inhale with your yogi complete breath. Um, you want to cross your eyes, hearing your wind in the ears. So your pineal gland push-ups, if you will, from my previous video. If you're curious about what a pineal gland push-up is, you should refer to my astral vision video. But that's how you pull higher dimensional energy in using your pineal gland. You close your eyes, cross them, and look up, and you hear wind in your ears. You're pulling in energy that way. And then if you want to use open eyes, you can look at the logo, cross your eyes, and you'll see two logos, and that's how you'll be pulling that energy code in. You can also, with closed eyes in a meditation, you can visualize the logo. You can draw the logo in the astral, visualize it in your mind, however you want to think about that. And then breathe through that logo, breathe out through that logo. You can cross your eyes when you're looking at it, hear that wind in your ears. Additionally, you can speak the code with your exhale if you're breathing in through your nose with your yoga complete breath. You can also, if you're capable enough, if you're a good enough vocalist, if you learn how to inhale scream when you're in a metal band in college, which I did, you can inhale the mantra as well and exhale the mantra. So then you're saying the mantra twice as much. Cool stuff. But I will remark that breathing in through your nose is your filtration system. So you're going to be breathing in unfiltered air to your system. So I would do a blend of nose inhales and mouth inhales if you're going to be saying the mantra with your mouth inhale. Otherwise, you don't need to be inhaling from your mouth basically ever. I mean, when you're talking, yes, you inhale with your mouth, yes. Um, I would do this for each symbol code, each single one of them. I would do I spent some weeks drawing the symbol code And when I would go into, when I first started working with the Veca codes, so example for the Veca code, I would do three inhale and outhale pairs for each element of the Veca code. So I would do, oh, I'm envisioning a yellow circle on my right foot. Let's do 3 breaths. Maharata mu eva. And then I would do that 3 times. And then I would do, I am now envisioning the purple circle that overlaps it. And then I would do 3 inhales, exhaling Maharata mu eva, right? And then I would be like, oh, then there's a circle, right? And then, oh, there's a Sirius B logo, which is that's what that logo is. That's a logo for Sirius B. And that notates that we're connecting through the Sirius B Stargate in Dimension 6 from our Templar Stargate. So that's a Sirius logo. It's all throughout these codes. But anyway, I would go through each component of the code and I would do breaths for each one. And then I would do breaths for the whole code, saying the mantra the whole time. And by the time you've made it through every element of the Biveka code, you've done like 15, 20 breaths. And you've done 15 or 20 times you've said the mantra. So that's how I would approach it. You can do it however you want. If you want to just visualize the code and be like, oh, Kaveh, there's a lot of symbols on this code. I want to just look at it and learn it that way. Go right ahead. Do this however you want. I would do it at least 7 times. I say the mantra at least 7 times. 7 is a really good number for a variety of reasons. Um, so with the Veka codes, this is kind of review here, but you are pulling in very pure, non-polarized energy into your field from dimensions 10 through 12, 13 through 15, and then the 3 ascended master layers that lie beyond dimension 15 of our 15 time matrix. And the reason why I'm saying we have a 15 time matrix is because we have 15 dimensions, and then we have 3 layers that are beyond it. And the layers that are beyond it they're not quite dimensions the same way that the lower dimensions are. So we're in a 15 time matrix, and you can pull using these Veka codes 10 through 12, 13 through 15, as well as the 3 layers beyond that, which is really cool. Initially, when you're pulling in these codes, there might be some muscle tensing, or you might feel like, oftentimes when I first started doing these, I would feel like there's like someone is sitting on my left arm because your left side is your receiving side. So I'd be receiving all that new energy into my system, and it would feel like there was someone sitting on my arm, right? Really peculiar. Your like arm was tense, but like not tense. It was kind of odd. But yeah, it's a muscle tensing. Feel like someone is sitting on your arm. Oftentimes my left arm, receiving arm, would go numb, right? And you'd have a numb arm, and like the circulation isn't cut off. You're lying flat on the ground. There's no circulation being cut off, so there's no reason your arm should be numb, right? But it's going numb because you're pulling in that higher dimensional energy through your system. The higher the oscillation or the density level of the energy. So I want to explain something. So if you want energy from dimension 13, that's going to be at a very high oscillation. If you want energy from dimension 2 or 3 or 4 compared to that 13 energy, it's going to be a lower oscillation, right? The words oscillation and vibration are opposites of each other. So you have these things called fire letters. And basically, when they're like ready to be fired, it's in a vibrational state. And when they're fired, they're in an oscillation state, right? Fire letters are actually one layer um, below your partici, if I'm not mistaken. I need to cover that in a separate video. That's fire letters or something else we'll cover going in the future. But essentially, you have these fire letters, and either they're in an oscillation state being fired upon, or they're in a vibrational state where they're waiting to be fired upon. So when someone is like, "Oh man, I want to be really high vibe," okay, bro, what you want to be is high oscillation and low vibe. So if you're in dimension 10, you have a high oscillation and a low vibration relative to someone who's in dimension 4, who has a lower oscillation than dimension 10 and a higher vibration. So the more you go down in density number, in dimensional numbers, the higher the vibration and the lower the oscillation. So we got to get everyone to stop saying high vibe. It's literally upside down. It's one of these distortions that the New Age movement put out that is literally 100% incorrect. So no, you don't want to be high vibe. You want to be high oscillation. Okay. Um, anyway, we'll cover that more going forward and probably in another video. If your fire letters are misaligned, then there are distortions in your field. Okay. And that's how you can fix some of those distortions. Higher dimensional energy and higher oscillation energy feels like, how does it feel? It feels very peaceful, very clean. It is not blissy. It is not overwhelming. The first couple times you're running your Veka codes, you might have a very strong experience, maybe a little bit blissy. You might feel, but you're gonna feel overwhelmingly peaceful and clean. You're not gonna feel like you're like ODing. It's not gonna feel like you drank like 10 beers too many and you're like, whoa, I'm fucked up. Or like, oh, I smoked way too much weed and I'm like, I'm so high I can't even move. You shouldn't feel like that off this. This should be peaceful. It should be clean, not like you're getting blissed up. It shouldn't feel like you just took a shitload of drugs. It should feel more like you are at peace with the universe. All right. And the first few times you do that, you might have a little bit of a blissy vibe. You might have a little bit of that. But like if you're getting completely blissed out to shit every time you're doing this, you may be doing something wrong. Because when you're getting loosed, a lot of times these lower dimensional astral parasites will hop into your field, push you with bliss, and then steal your loosh. So, so if you're getting loosed, you often feel very, very blissy, right? Elizabeth April talks about, oh my God, Ascension feels so blissy. Oh my God. And it's like, yeah, girl, you're getting loosed. You're getting blissed up and loosed. All right. All the power to you on your path. And I hope you find this material and learn from it. Ashayana Deane was correct, and the Guardians are correct. They have already ascended. They know how to ascend, and they cannot lie to you because they're from non-polarized realms. So when I say this about Elizabeth April, I'm not calling her out, but she said in her book that, oh, ascension is so blissy. Every time I meditate, it's so blissy. No, it shouldn't be. It should be very peaceful. It should be very clean. All right, maybe the first time your arm goes numb and it's a little bit blissy, but you shouldn't be getting blissed out and like drooling from bliss like you're on pain pills. You're not in the hospital on pain pills over here doing this meditation. It shouldn't feel like that. Um, anyway, you are very sovereign. And this is a very sovereign exercise, right? You're connecting with the infinite flow of natural source, which is literally the definition of sovereignty, right? We all live in this source bubble. And the more you connect with source, the more sovereign you get. So you are not giving anything away here whatsoever. You are not getting loosed. You are not getting blissed up and loosed out, right? So if you're feeling bliss, you might feel bliss the first few times. And then once you get used to that energy, you won't feel that bliss anymore every time. You'll just feel very peaceful doing this meditation. When I'm doing the high Veca codes, I mean, I feel very peaceful and very clean, but I'm not blissed up at all. At all. The first few times I did though, it was pretty intense. I will say that. And I could feel the symbol like shaking on my foot. I could feel it like I could feel the energy coming off the symbol. I could see it in the astral. It was really visual. So the first few times you do this might be intense, but after that, you should get used to that energy, that 13D energy, and you should be just chilling on it. It shouldn't be a big deal. Um, it may cause drowsiness the first few times during these frequencies. Higher dimensional frequency can make you drowsy because your body isn't used to running such high frequency, and it can take a lot of energy from you. So hydration is very important. Reverse osmosis water with Celtic sea salt is your liquid IV. Also, coconut water is very good too. Um, and then it may cause muscle spasms and body signals. We talked about those signals being messages from your higher selves or your guardian councils. Um, let's touch on this. So these are the magic words of co-creation. I'm going to put a video out on this separately, but after you have done your high Veca codes and your Maharic seal, or clearing mantra, Maharic seal, high Veca codes, the next thing you want to do is your magic words of co-creation. And this is right out of the Dance for Life workshop from Ashayana Deane in 2002, 2003. Um, and basically, there's San 1, San 2, San 3, and San 4. And basically, they're just mantras. San is a fancy word for a mantra, PSONN. And so basically, each one of these Psalm 1, 2, 3, and 4 align with um, these layers of creation we talked about in the beginning of the video. So we have the Akasha, which is the entire 15D time matrix, right, notated by this symbol, right? And then we have the pre-sound vibration, the divine feminine, right, the Irie. Then we have the void energy, which is the man Ao, which is the no thingness, the everything space that is no thing. It's no thing but everything at the same time. It's the void. And then we have the pre-light oscillation, which is the man A, the divine masculine. Each one of those four that I have written up here correspond with the sans. So by using these in quotes magic words of co-creation, yo, Kavi, you're full of shit. You're saying these words are magic. Actually, man, it's not that they're magic or not magic. It's what they are is you're calling on the primordial forces of creation that make up our 15D time matrix. And you're calling on them to be in alignment with the law of one so you can co-create for your highest and best timeline. That's exactly what you're doing. So yeah, in a sense, it is magic. Less so like Harry Potter and more so like an Ashayana Deane workshop. And that's why we're covering her material. Um, so yeah, I'm going to cover this in a separate video. This video is going on. But yeah, these are the words you use, and basically you just say these mantras. And it uses the same pronunciation as all the other stuff. The capital A is an Irie, rather than Iria, right? But anyway, these are the words. And then beyond this, I just wanted to mention that we have something called the salutations, which incorporate physically spinning your body in a circle to ramp up your light body, and then saying these specific magic words of co-creation. And if you actually want to be a breatharian, um, according to the Guardians and the Law of One material from Ashayana Deane, the breatharians would basically do their salutations in the morning and the salutations at night. And basically the way you would do those, they're basically you spin in a circle a few times and you say these magic words of co-creation. It's not very difficult. Being a breatharian isn't that difficult. All right. So anyway, yeah, Guardians love when I say shit like that. They are pinging me in my left ear for, anyway, one of my higher selves and Guardian councils are assembling all your lost soul fragments, finding all the lost sheep, right? Basically, what you're doing is getting all those 1728 higher selves, you're aligning them to the law of one, and then ascending, whether that's through death or through an ascension process like we're doing on Earth 606 now, where we're ascending while alive. So, anyway, really cool stuff here. Okay, so this has gone on for a while. I'm going to do this review slide and we're going to call it. So, all the materials I presented today are from the Science and Spirituality of Creation, um, which is a workshop from Ashayana Deane in the early 2000s. Dance for Life, Dance for Freedom, Dance for Love is also another workshop she put out. Um, I went and found these PDFs online for free. It's very easy to do. And then she also has a lecture where she lectures on it. She's not directly reading the materials, but she's lecturing on it. And these are from the early 2000s. Ashayana Deane material from pre-2012 is directly from the Guardians and is of the highest confidence. All right, these are directly translated from the Closer Duratura plates, which are the steps to ascend from the Guardians who have already ascended. In addition, I showed some charts from Christos Avatar. Shout out to him. He made his chart based on the Ashayana Deane material. So shout out to him. He's doing great work. We love to support his work by kind of briefly showing his stuff. Please go buy his stuff. Donate to him. He's got a great channel. I'm not trying to step on his toes at all, but his chart is phenomenal and has been super helpful to my development and growth. Thank you, Christos. Um, in review, everything is made up of partici, particum, and partica units. I actually have the third one there should be ending in an A, not an I. But we have the man ow, which is the void. We have the Iria, which is the divine feminine. And then we have the man A, which is the divine masculine. And those line up with the void, which is the man ow. Iria is pre-sound vibration, which is divine feminine. And then we have the man A, which is the pre-light oscillation, right? These units combine to make partici fields. These partici fields actually have these fire letters, and they can either oscillate when they're being fired, or they can be in a vibration state where they're waiting to be fired upon, right? So when we talk about ascension, you technically aligning your fire letters to a higher dimensional alignment so you can align with higher dimensional frequencies, right? So when you fire these fire letters in your partici fields on, it's an oscillation, which is higher dimensional energy. So you're moving up in dimension, dimensions 10, 12, 13, going up in dimension. When the firing of these fire letters are off, when more of these fire letters are off, you have a more vibrational status, right? So high vibe. Oh, I want to be high vibe. No, you want to be high oscillation, sir. You want to be low vibe, high oscillation. Okay, so beware when people talk. If you listen to an interview from an Archangel Michael channel message and he tells you to be high vibe, he's telling you the opposite of what you should do. So beware. Um, these partici fields with your fire letters that can either be in an oscillation or a vibration state, whether they're turned on or ready to be turned on, hook up to your kathara centers, which is your internal circuit board, right? So when you're receiving messages from higher selves, you should be cognizant of your kathara centers because that's what it's the CPU of your computer, if you will, your internal circuit board. All right. And then the kathara centers are connected to the rest of your systems via your chakras, which are like your power cords. All right. And connecting your kathara centers via your chakras, the next in line is your hova bodies, which are multidimensional energy vehicles that house or project your consciousness across different realities or dimensions. So to be clear, you don't have a physical existence here. What you have is partici, particum, and partica units coming together in partici fields based on how many fire letters you're oscillating or vibrating at. All right. Those feed into your kathara centers, your circuit board, which feeds into the power cords, which are your chakras, which feed into your hova bodies. And your hova bodies are the vehicles that house your projection of consciousness, which is what you view. So no, you're not physical at all. When you go to the doctor and they're like, "Oh, take this Advil because you have physical symptoms." That guy is 100% wrong. Again, not medical advice, but he's still 100% wrong because really, this is the systems you are. You're not physical. You're energetic and you're projecting this consciousness. And part of that projection is a stomach and an esophagus and a throat. Yes. But those are downstream of your energetic. So that's why when I say everything is energetic primarily, and then yes, downstream of that, you have a physical incarnation. Yes, you do. You have a physical avatar here. But what it is you manifesting that energetically based on partici, particum, particate, right? Your morphogenetic field, right? Based on the fire letters firing in oscillation or being ready to fire in the vibration state, which feeds in your kathara centers, your chakras, and your hova bodies. And then your hova body feeds into your auric body, which is physically seen by your eyes, the projection of your reality. So really, we're a bunch of particles floating around in this ball, and we have this complex energy system that projects an auric body, and your eyes are looking into your auric body. Your eyes aren't looking out into nature. No, they're looking into your auric body, and your auric body filters everything you see. So technically, we're all just a bunch of particles floating around here, right? If you were to be outside of this galaxy and look in, you'd see a bunch of particles floating around. You wouldn't see trees and forests. You see particles floating around. And then if you zoomed in enough, yes, you could peer into our auric bodies and see trees and fields because we're projecting that consciously into existence with our co-creative capacities using free will on behalf of Source. Anyway, that was a very long-winded sentence. Um, and then in addition, your auric body and the whole system we talked about corresponds to your Axi-A tonal lines on your fingers and joints. All right. So when you're receiving signals from your higher selves, refer to your kathara centers and refer to your Axi-A tonal lines. Um, any signals received during a meditation are very likely one of your 1728 higher, lower, and parallel selves. So go on and receive these messages and interpret these messages based on your Axi-A tonal lines, based on your kathara centers. Clean out your chakras so you can receive these messages even better. Take care of your body and your health so that the messages coming in can be received as clearly as possible. It is literally your birthright to connect with your other 1728 higher selves and lower selves. You have a lower self in dimensions 1 and 2, don't you? So when people talk about, oh my gosh, there's a cat and he's like my, what is it, my regular or whatever. I don't know. There's like a witchy term for a cat that belongs to you. That is like part of your soul monad. All right. You have lower selves too. So you're one of 1728 avatars, right? They call that your soul monad or your higher selves, however you want to think of that. Go on and connect with these beings with your birthright. And basically, your mission here is to, yes, play and have fun and co-create and do all these fun things, but it is your mission to align you and your higher selves and your lower selves in alignment with the natural flow of organic source and ascend. And if you want a full sovereign choice over ascension, where you go when you die, where when you go when we're doing the ascension process on Earth alive, which is a specialty thing. But if you want to choose where you want to go when you die, you must align your higher and lower avatars from your soul monad, your 1728 higher and lower selves. You must align those to the infinite flow of source, and then you can choose wherever you want to go. Right? Full sovereignty. That's how you get full sovereignty in this realm. Um, I'm going to leave it here. I cover this so many times in this video. Cleansing protocol, Maharic seal, high Veca codes, magic words of co-creation. Irasha Area Crystar is a great protection vehicle, D12 protection vehicle, really easy to put that one on. Shari Uri Akuntan is great for disarming, neutralizing polarized frequencies that may come into your field. Okay. Let's see. Do I have anything more on this? No, this has been a long one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you stuck around to the end. Please watch this a few times if you don't get it, or refer to Ashayana Deane, Science of Spirituality and Creation, Dance for Life, Dance for Love, Dance for Freedom. Christos Avatar was a resource I used in this. He's got some good resources as well. All right, I'll leave it here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace, love, and sovereignty, sovereignty, not saviors, and speak the eternal Alesa flame.